So when you're looking at these things, it's rarely an investment. It's what the purpose of the investment is. It's going to give the problem or the opportunity. So you've got to look at it and say, okay, I've got this today. I want to go do this with it. If you're going to buy a property and you want to put a disqualified party in it, or have a disqualified party work on it, or a disqualified party guarantee a loan, those things are all problems. Sweat equity is not okay. You're not supposed to go out and paint the property your retirement account owns. And you might ask, well, how do you get caught? You get caught because you get audited, and somebody that knows what they're doing says, gee, okay, they're going down the ledger, and they say, okay, $500 to Sherwin-Williams. I don't see a ledger entry for the labor. Who did the labor? And your answer is going to be the tenant. And they're going to smile at you, probably. So anyway, just don't do the wrong thing.
Do you have the ability of managing your asset?
Yeah.
At an expense, at a cost?
Not at a cost.
Okay.
And Steve, there could be an argument there should be a cost, because you say, okay, I just told you sweat equity is not okay, so if you're managing the thing, I should get a fee. We're going to say we don't ever want to see any transaction between you and that account, either direction.
But if the entity or the account owns the asset, you're employed by the entity as a manager of that asset.
You're not employed by it, so you can't work for it. You can't take compensation for that entity. If you were doing a rollover business startup, then you literally have a business that's owned by the retirement account. So if you said, hey, I want to go flip properties for a living, okay? You've probably heard people with ads doing that. You've probably seen people doing that, right? So if that's what you want to do for a living and you want to go work on the properties, we're going to create a 401k plan. We're going to create a C Corp. The plan buys a corporation. We typically will have our client be an owner of that corporation as well, maybe 5% of it. And so the money's going to flow from the IRA, the 401k plan, wherever it is today, into the new plan. We create the corp, the plan buys the corp then makes the investment, and you're literally able to be employed by that corporation, take salary, do whatever you want. Now, understand that whatever that corporation owns, and we're talking a C Corp, anybody remember Measure 97, you've got situations there where you've got taxation, double taxation potentially in the use of a C Corp. So you've got to just say, understand more often than not, unless that corporation's going up in value, that plan's not really, it's provided the financing or your ability to do the business, but it's probably not growing in value a whole bunch. It'll take time, but that plan can also make any investment the law allows. So not all the money has to go in the corporation. That plan can be used to go make other investments independent of what the corporation's doing. So, yes?
Why would you put it in a C corporation that gets double taxed as opposed to an LLC that flows through the plan?
Because it doesn't work with an LLC. So, our legal, basically, if you look online, type in, it's sort of an unfortunate acronym, ROBS, Rollover Business Startup. But if you look at the failings, if you look at why these things are failed, typically it's because somebody's used an IRA, which you can't, or an LLC, which you can't, or any combination of those things, which you can't. The other issue that you'll see come up is when we're putting these things together. For example, I had a guy that had a car dealership, or actually didn't have a car dealership yet. He came to us because he wanted to buy a car dealership. He'd been a dealership general manager for years, always dreamed of owning his own company, and he had never been given that opportunity. So for him, when he finally had enough money in his retirement account to go buy a car dealership, he didn't want anyone else to own that thing, right? So when we've got a 401k plan, you can't restrict, you can't say, okay, the owner of this company bought all the shares. You can't say, oh, it's fully subscribed that investment. So when we put these things together for a new business, you have to sort of say, okay, does the owner care if his or her employees are able to make the investment into that company or not? And if they say, no, we don't want them to, the typical manner to prohibit that is to say it's fully subscribed, which the government has come in and said, no, that doesn't work, you can't do that. So what typically happens is you sort of, depending on that person's position, whether they want it or not, you're going to either make that investment easier or unattractive. And you've got restrictions to entry into it. If you're buying a business that's already going, then you've got more issues to deal with because you're taking over an existing plan and other things come into play. But if it's a brand new business, brand new plan, you can put restrictions in place that might allow it. But back to your question, it has to be a C Corp and it has to be a 401k. Just because. All right? So, you know, if you look at this slide, it just says it's not about what, it's about for which purpose and with whom that you're making these investments. So, you know, if we're talking about borrowing from your IRA, you can't do it. If you're talking about using your IRA to pay off something, and, you know, I just told you there's a way to do it, but typically it would not be looked at as a good transaction to take retirement money to buy a, you know, pay off a property you've got, those type of scenarios. Typically we're talking about, you sort of want to keep away from anything you've already got. Go out and buy new things, that's fine. And you've got to be careful anytime you're transacting with anyone that could be considered a, you know, disqualified party. That's where your issues are going to be typically. Working on the asset, compensation for something. The thing that's sort of interesting is some of the custodians. So what happens with once again a checkbook IRA, for example, is that people have the opportunity to do the wrong thing. Let's say you want to make a contribution, and instead of running that contribution through the custodian, every transaction should run through the, you know, from the investor through the custodian to that checkbook IRA account. We'll talk about structure more in a few minutes, but everything has to flow through the custodian, and inevitably people will make a contribution directly to the LLC, or they take a distribution straight from the LLC out. Either one of those transactions is a prohibited transaction. As I said, a prohibited transaction is very problematic with an IRA. So what is some of the custodians have put in a correction vehicle, I guess, you know, an IRA contribution distribution correction that they put in place to try to clean up the bookkeeping on what's happened there. So, all right.